The sky was dark and empty, but Earth was far from silent. High above the clouds, satellites flickered like tiny stars, scanning for signals that no one on the ground could hear. People went about their lives, unaware that every move they made was being watched. Not by humans, but by something far older, far wiser. Something patient. Commander Elena Voss stared out of the observation deck of the orbital station, her eyes fixed on the deep blue of Earth. The planet looked calm, almost ordinary. Yet, she could feel a strange tension in the air, a silent warning that something was coming. Her team had been monitoring unusual transmissions for months. Signals that were not random, not natural. Patterns. Messages. Something, or someone, was trying to communicate. Elena tapped a button on the console, and the holographic screen flickered to life. The patterns of light and sound danced across the display, forming shapes that no human mind could easily decode. "They're intelligent," she whispered to herself. "They're definitely intelligent." Dr. Malik, the station's lead scientist, leaned over her shoulder. His eyes were wide, a mixture of excitement and fear. "We've never seen anything like this," he said. "The signals, they're not just data. It's as if the planet itself is speaking." Elena frowned. Speaking? To whom? Malik shook his head. "We don't know. But whatever it is, it's been waiting. Watching. Learning. And now, it's responding." The first sign came as a flicker of lights across the Earth's night side. Cities blinked in unison, as if the planet were sending a message through the electric grids. People noticed it, but only as a strange technical glitch. They didn't realize they were witnessing the opening act of something unprecedented. Suddenly, alarms blared in the station. Red lights flashed. Elena's heart pounded. "Status report," she shouted. "Multiple atmospheric anomalies," a technician reported. "Sensors indicate sudden temperature shifts and magnetic disturbances across the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans." "It's massive." Elena's mind raced. Could this be natural? A storm? Malik shook his head. "No storm behaves like this. It's precise, deliberate, almost intelligent." Below them, the oceans began to glow faintly. Tiny pulses of light moved like a heartbeat across the water. The crew watched in stunned silence. Then, the pulses synchronized with the flickering lights of the cities. It was a rhythm, a signal. One that humans had never encountered before. Elena clenched her fists. This is communication." Malik nodded, his hands trembling slightly. "Yes. And it's huge. Whoever, or whatever, is doing this, it knows we're watching." 4 hours, they tried to decode the signals. The patterns were too complex, too fast. Every time they thought they understood a sequence, it shifted, like it was aware of their attempts. It was alive. And patient. Then came the first direct encounter. On the station's external cameras, a shadow appeared in low Earth orbit. At first, it looked like a fragment of debris, but it moved with purpose, defying natural physics. It hovered, then expanded, forming shapes that resembled nothing on Earth. The crew gasped. "It's enormous," Elena whispered. "How can something that big just appear?" Malik's voice was tight with disbelief. "It's not appearing. It's materializing. Slowly. From nothing." The object pulsed with faint blue light, synchronized with the signals from Earth. It was as if the planet itself had sent a messenger, a herald of something far greater. Then, without warning, the station's communication systems flickered and went silent. All external connections to Earth were lost. The crew stared at each other in panic. Elena felt a cold fear spread through her chest. "It's cutting us off," she said. "It doesn't want us to talk to anyone." Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Every system on the station worked perfectly, yet no signal returned. The Earth below glimmered with strange patterns of light, like a living circuit board. The planet was alive, but it was hiding something. Something they couldn't yet see. Finally, A single message appeared on their main console. One word, simple, yet terrifying: awake. Elena's breath caught. Awake, she repeated aloud. The Earth, it's awake? Malik shook his head, his face pale. It's not just awake. It knows us. It's judging us. And we're not ready. Outside, the shadow in orbit slowly began to move toward the station. It was enormous, almost impossible in size. Its edges glimmered like fractured light, reflecting the blue of the oceans below. The crew felt the first true brush of fear. Not for themselves, but for humanity. Elena looked down at the planet she had always called home. It was beautiful, calm, familiar, and terrifying. She realized that everything humans had believed about their place in the universe was about to change. The Earth was no longer silent. And whatever came next would decide if humanity survived or vanished. For the first time in history, humans understood one undeniable truth: they were no longer the only intelligent life in their world. And the silence they had taken for granted was gone forever. The shadow in orbit moved closer, and the crew of the station could feel its presence as if the cold void of space itself had taken form. It pulsed with a strange rhythm, synchronized with the flickering lights on Earth. Every pulse sent tiny vibrations through the hull of the station, subtle but unmistakable. Elena felt them in her bones. "What is it?" whispered one of the junior engineers, his voice trembling. "It's huge." Elena shook her head, trying to steady herself. "We don't know. But it's not attacking, at least, not yet. It's watching. Learning." Dr. Malik's fingers flew over the console. The signals from Earth had intensified. Every city, every ocean, every mountain seemed to be part of a single network. It was alive, thinking, and aware. "It's like the whole planet is a brain," he muttered. "And we are just neurons in its system." The shadow began to shift, slowly transforming. Its edges rippled and stretched, forming shapes that seemed almost familiar, like gigantic mechanical wings, yet made of light. It glowed faintly, reflecting the colors of the oceans and forests below. The crew gasped at the sight. "It's communicating," Elena realized aloud. "Not with us, but through us." Before anyone could respond, the station's internal lights dimmed. The consoles flickered, and a low hum filled the air, vibrating through metal and bone alike. The message from Earth appeared again, more urgent this time. "Look." Elena's heart pounded. "Look. Look at what?" Malik pointed at the Earth. "Look at the surface. It's changing." The crew turned toward the planet below, and their mouths fell open. Forests glimmered with faint blue light. Rivers and lakes pulsed like veins. Cities were outlined in patterns that moved and shifted as if alive. The signals were no longer just transmissions. They were visible. Earth itself had become a vast, glowing interface, showing something far beyond human understanding. Then came the whispers. Not in their ears, but in their minds. Soft, almost like the wind, yet clear. Words formed slowly, like a language translated directly into thought. "We have waited. We have seen. We have learned. Are you ready?" Elena froze. "It's talking to us." Malik nodded, his face pale. "Not talking. Testing. Asking questions. Judging us." The station shuddered as the shadow moved even closer, now almost within reach. Its form was beautiful, terrifying, and alive in ways humans had never imagined. And then, from the depths of Earth, another signal pulsed. This one deeper, more powerful, resonating through the planet itself. It was not sound. It was awareness. Elena felt it as a weight pressing on her mind. Thoughts that were not hers mingled with her own. Memories she had never had. Knowledge she could not explain. She saw visions of Earth from space, of creatures and machines she could not name, and of civilizations that had risen and fallen long before humanity existed. "They've been here all along," Malik whispered, voice shaking. "Watching. Waiting. Guiding. Maybe protecting." Elena gritted her teeth. Then why now? Why us? The shadow seemed to respond. It tilted, spreading its glowing wings, and a single beam of light shot toward the station. Elena expected destruction, but instead, it formed a sphere around the station, warm and protective. The hum became a pulse, steady and reassuring. "Protection?" asked one of the crew, incredulous. "Yes," Elena said slowly. "Or, a test. They're giving us a chance to prove we are ready." The lights from Earth intensified, syncing perfectly with the pulses from the shadow. It was as if the entire planet and its emissary were working together, showing humanity something extraordinary. And yet, there was a warning hidden in the beauty, a silent, chilling reminder: fail, and everything could end. Hours passed, and the crew remained trapped in awe. They did not speak much. Words felt too small for the experience. Outside, the oceans glimmered, forests shimmered, and cities moved in patterns of light. Everything was connected. Everything was alive. Then, the shadow began to move again, slowly pulling away from the station and descending toward the planet. Its form stretched, reaching Earth, and for a moment, the entire crew felt as if the sky itself had opened. And then came the final pulse of the day, direct, strong, undeniable. Awaken. The word did not just appear on the screens. It echoed in their minds, reverberated through their bodies, and left no room for doubt. The Earth was awake. Humanity was being called to action, not as masters, not as rulers, but as students of a planet that had lived far longer than any of them could imagine. Elena clenched her fists. Her mind raced with questions, but one thought became clearer than any fear: humanity could not hide anymore. It could not pretend the universe revolved around them. The planet had spoken, and now, the world was watching, and waiting. The crew watched in silence as the shadow descended through the atmosphere, dissolving into light that danced across the Earth. The planet pulsed once more, steady and alive, and then the sky returned to normal, or at least as normal as it could ever be again. But Elena knew better. Earth was no longer just a home. It was a being that had judged humanity, and had chosen to speak. And soon, it would ask something far greater than simple attention. Something humanity might not be ready for. The morning sun rose over Earth, but nothing felt normal. From space, the planet seemed calm, almost peaceful, but the crew of the station knew better. The pulses of light, the messages, the shadow that had descended, all of it meant that Earth was no longer the same. Something inside the planet was awake, aware, and watching humanity closely. Elena paced the observation deck, her mind racing. "We need to report this," she said. "The world needs to know what's happening." Dr. Malik shook his head. "No one will understand. No one could. If we try to explain, they'll think we're insane. The truth is too big." Elena stopped pacing, staring at him. "Then what do we do?" Before Malik could answer, the station's systems flickered. A soft hum filled the air, vibrating in tune with Earth's heartbeat. The messages returned, not words this time, but images. Holographic projections appeared in the middle of the control room, showing Earth from a new perspective. The oceans were alive with glowing lines, rivers and currents connecting cities, forests, and mountains. It looked like a map, but it was moving, changing, and breathing. And at the center of it all, a massive structure formed, made entirely of light and energy. Elena swallowed hard. "What is that?" Malik's voice was quiet. "It's impossible. That structure, it's not built by humans. Nothing on Earth could do that. It's alive. It's part of the planet." The holographic structure expanded, reaching into space, connecting with the shadow that had descended the day before. The two entities pulsed together, synchronized perfectly. Elena felt a strange sensation, as if the entire Earth was reaching out, not with hands or voices, but with thought. Then came the first direct communication. This time, it was not gentle or curious. It was firm, deliberate. Words appeared in the crew's minds, clear and impossible to ignore. "You have seen. You have heard. You must choose. Elena's heart pounded. Choose what? The planet answered with another pulse, stronger this time. It filled the station, vibrating through every system, through every wall. The lights flickered, then stabilized, but the intensity left everyone shaken. Malik finally spoke, voice trembling. It's giving us a choice. But what kind of choice could a planet give humanity? Before anyone could answer, the shadow moved again. It floated closer to the observation deck's window, now massive enough to block the view of Earth itself. Its shape shifted, forming what looked like a giant hand, or perhaps an invitation. Elena stared at it, frozen. It's waiting for us to understand. Suddenly, alarms blared. The station sensors detected thousands of new signals emerging from Earth's surface. They weren't random, they were structured, moving like armies. Not human armies, something else. Patterns of light, pulsing and shifting in perfect coordination. It's mobilizing, Malik whispered. It's preparing. But for what? Elena realized the truth before she wanted to. It's not preparing to attack us, she said slowly. It's preparing to test us. The shadows on Earth's surface and in orbit pulsed in sync, sending waves of energy toward the station. The crew could feel it like a pressure on their minds, urging them to focus, to think, to act. And then, in an instant, every single display in the station went dark, except for one, a single word blinking in white light on a black screen. Prove. Elena's stomach dropped. Prove what? Malik's hands shook as he typed on the console, trying to interpret the signals. It doesn't say. But it's clear. The planet wants to see if we are worthy. If we can survive. If we can evolve. The shadow outside shifted again, and for the first time, Elena noticed movement beneath its surface. Tiny forms, almost invisible, darted and weaved like sparks of electricity. They moved with intelligence, purpose, coordination. Not machines. Not human. Something else. Something ancient. Elena took a deep breath, trying to steady her thoughts. Then we need to respond. We can't just wait. Malik nodded, but fear clouded his face. And how do we respond to a planet? Before they could answer, the planet pulsed again. Stronger. Faster. The light patterns on Earth formed symbols, shapes, and sequences. They were instructions. Or maybe questions. Elena realized the truth in a cold rush. Earth was not just observing, they were being judged by something greater than themselves. And then the shadow pulsed one last time, releasing a beam of pure light into the station. It was not destructive. It was enlightening. Knowledge, understanding, and warnings flowed into their minds. Visions of other worlds, other civilizations, and the choices they had made flashed before their eyes. Some had risen. Others had fallen. Elena's mind reeled. It's showing us what could happen, she whispered. If we fail, we fall too. Malik's face went pale. And if we succeed? Elena looked out at the planet. The light patterns flickered in response, almost as if Earth were waiting for her answer. The choice was clear, though terrifying. Humanity had to act. They had to prove themselves worthy of survival. The planet was awake. It was alive. And now, it was time for humanity to awaken too. The station shook as if the planet itself had breathed. Elena gripped the console, staring at the glowing patterns on Earth below. They were no longer just lights or signals. They were instructions, or maybe a challenge. Humanity was being tested, and every second wasted brought new pressure. We have to respond, Elena said firmly. Her voice was steady, but inside, fear and awe battled for control. We can't just watch. We have to act. We have to prove ourselves. Dr. Malik nodded, though his hands trembled. But, how? How do we respond to a planet? To something that sees and knows everything? Elena turned to him, eyes burning with determination. We do what humans do best. We think. We adapt. We show intelligence. We show that we care about more than just ourselves. The station's consoles flickered, suddenly displaying sequences of light from Earth. They were complicated patterns, moving too fast for the human eye, but the crew quickly realized that they could interact. By adjusting the station's energy fields and mirrors, they could send back pulses, mirrors of Earth signals, a kind of dialogue. Think of it as a conversation, Malik said. We can respond. Maybe it will understand our intent. Elena nodded. Then let's start. Hours passed in tense silence as the crew worked tirelessly. They aligned the station systems with Earth's energy patterns, sending carefully measured pulses back into the atmosphere. Each pulse was matched to the planet's rhythm, a step in a complicated dance they could barely understand. At first, there was no reaction. The shadow in orbit hung motionless, like a giant predator observing its prey. The crew's hope wavered. But then, a faint response came. The oceans glimmered brighter, forests shimmered, and rivers seemed to pulse in sync with their signals. Earth was listening. Elena's heart raced. It's working. It's responding. But the relief was brief. The planet's pulses intensified suddenly, shaking the station violently. Alarms screamed. Red lights bathed the room. The crew was thrown off balance. Too fast, one technician shouted. We can't keep up. Elena held on to the console. No. We have to. Keep matching the pulses. Don't let it overwhelm us. For what felt like an eternity, they danced with the planet, adjusting, measuring, responding. Slowly, the pulses stabilized. The station's lights returned to normal. The shadow in orbit tilted, sending a soft beam of light toward the Earth, and the entire planet seemed to hum with satisfaction. Then came the message. Not words, not images, but a sensation that filled every mind in the station. Curiosity. Understanding. Survival. Malik's voice shook. It acknowledged us. Our intent. It respects us. Elena's lips curved in a small, tense smile. Not yet. But it sees potential. That's the first step. Outside, the shadow began to move again, shifting toward Earth with grace and purpose. The glowing structures on the planet's surface rearranged, forming new shapes, new sequences. It was like the planet itself was teaching, guiding, creating a path for humanity to follow. Elena realized that the test had only begun. The first challenge was not about strength or power, it was about intelligence, cooperation, and awareness. Humanity had to prove it could think as a species, not just as individuals. Malik adjusted the station's controls, eyes wide. It's giving us more instructions. Sequences we need to decode, align, and respond to. Every city, every forest, every river, part of the pattern. The crew looked down at Earth, awed by its complexity. The task seemed impossible. They were small, fragile beings in a world that had existed for billions of years. And yet, the planet had chosen to notice them, to challenge them. Elena took a deep breath. Then we do what humans always do. We adapt. We learn. We survive. Outside, the shadow pulsed in agreement, a soft glow echoing through the station. The planet's energy reached through every window, every wall, every system, as if urging them forward. Humanity had been called to prove itself, and now the first step was clear. They had to understand and respond, with intelligence, speed, and care. The station hummed with energy, the crew working in perfect coordination. Every pulse they sent back to Earth was a statement. Humanity was awake, curious, willing to learn. And slowly, painfully, the planet's sequences began to make sense. Patterns emerged. Symbols formed. Messages became coherent. Elena's heart lifted. We're learning. We're starting to understand. Malik nodded, still trembling but smiling faintly. And the planet, it's teaching us, guiding us, not just judging us. But even as hope grew, a quiet fear lingered. They knew that this was only the beginning. The planet's patience was immense, but not infinite. And the shadow in orbit, pulsing with energy, reminded them that every mistake, every misstep, could have consequences far beyond human imagination. Elena's eyes narrowed as she stared at the glowing Earth below. "We're awake now," she said softly. "And the planet knows it. But we have to stay awake. Every second counts. Every choice matters." And somewhere deep in the Earth, the pulse of the planet responded, steady, alive, waiting, testing, ready for humanity's next move. The station floated silently above Earth, but the calm was deceptive. The pulses from the planet had grown stronger, more demanding. Elena watched the glowing patterns shifting across the continents, like a living map teaching a lesson she barely understood. Humanity had taken its first step, but the planet wasn't finished. Dr. Malik leaned over the console, sweat dripping from his forehead. "It's increasing the difficulty. The sequences, they're moving faster, more complex, almost impossible to follow without error." Elena clenched her jaw. "Then we don't make mistakes. We focus. We match its rhythm. We show it we are capable." Outside, the shadow in orbit pulsed with a fierce intensity. It no longer looked like a passive observer. Its movements were precise, almost predatory, testing the crew's reaction. Every pulse they emitted in response to the planet's signals was mirrored back, faster and stronger. Suddenly, the station shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed. The hum that had been steady became a chaotic vibration, shaking every wall and rattling every console. "What is happening?" shouted one of the engineers. Malik's voice was tight with fear. "The planet is testing the station's limits. It's pushing us. Not physically, but mentally. It wants to see how we respond under pressure." Elena took a deep breath and steadied herself. "Then we adapt. Just like we always do. Work together. Focus on the sequences. Ignore everything else." The crew doubled their efforts. Fingers flew over controls. Monitors displayed rapidly changing patterns. Every city, river, forest, and mountain pulsed in perfect synchronization, forming intricate paths that the crew had to mirror with the station systems. Each correct response was met with approval from the planet, a calming pulse, a steady glow. Each mistake, however minor, brought a warning tremor, a sharp flicker of light across the world below. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Elena's mind raced to keep up, adrenaline keeping her awake while fatigue gnawed at her body. They were learning the planet's language, but it was a language built not from words, but from understanding, intuition, and awareness. Then, without warning, the patterns changed entirely. The city's lights disappeared. Rivers went dark. Forests became shadows. The planet pulsed erratically, almost like it was angry, or testing the crew's fear. Malik stared at the console, pale. "It's creating a scenario, a simulation, or a warning. Something catastrophic is happening in its patterns. We have to respond correctly, or it could stop us." Elena swallowed hard. "We respond. We survive. That's what it wants. Focus." The crew followed her orders, sending pulses, mirroring patterns, adjusting frequencies. Sweat ran down their faces, but they didn't stop. The shadow in orbit loomed closer, and for the first time, its sheer size became terrifying. It was enormous, a force they could not touch, yet one they had to obey. A sudden surge of energy shot from the planet, striking the station. The hull vibrated violently. The lights flickered. Every screen flashed with warnings. Elena felt the hum in her chest, her bones vibrating with the planet's immense power. And then, silence. The crew froze. The station hovered above a calm Earth. The shadow receded slightly, pulsing slowly, almost as if it was observing their reaction to the test. On the main console, a single word appeared: resilience. Elena exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. "We passed the test. For now." Malik wiped his forehead, his hands shaking. "It's acknowledging our effort, our intelligence, our ability to adapt under stress. That's what it was testing. Our resilience. Outside, Earth pulsed gently, glowing faintly, as if proud of its new students. The shadow floated above, calm but watchful, waiting for the next move. Elena stared at the planet, her heart still racing. This is just the beginning. It tested us, yes, but now it will push further. It will demand more. And we have to be ready. Malik nodded. It's guiding us, teaching us. But at the same time, it's warning us. Every misstep could be catastrophic. We're not just learning about it. We're learning about ourselves. The crew worked through the next cycle of patterns in silence. Every movement, every pulse, every alignment was precise. They had tasted the planet's power, its awareness, and its patience, but they also knew its judgment was absolute. Elena realized something profound. Humanity had been given a gift, a chance to rise beyond their own limits, to be seen as intelligent, adaptable, and worthy. But the planet's patience was finite. One wrong move could cost them everything. The shadow pulsed again, faintly, sending waves of light across the station. The planet's glow intensified. The message was clear, they had succeeded in this challenge, but the next test would be harder. Elena's eyes narrowed as she stared at Earth. We've passed, but the real test is coming. And we have to be ready, no matter what it throws at us. Outside, the planet pulsed steadily, alive, aware, and waiting. Humanity had proven resilience, but the shadow in orbit reminded them that survival was never guaranteed. The next challenge would test everything they thought they knew, and they could not fail. The station floated silently above Earth, but the calm was only temporary. The planet's glow had intensified, and the shadow in orbit pulsed with a rhythm that felt almost like a heartbeat. Elena stared at the patterns moving across the continents, and her stomach tightened. The planet was preparing something new, something bigger. Dr. Malik rubbed his eyes. It's escalating. The sequences, they're no longer just tests of alignment or reaction. They're challenges. Obstacles we've never seen before. Elena's gaze hardened. Then we adapt. We survive. We prove ourselves again. That's all we can do. The shadow began to descend, closer this time, almost touching the atmosphere. Its form shifted, massive shapes twisting and stretching, pulsing with energy that the human eye could barely comprehend. The station systems vibrated, warning lights flashing as energy readings spiked to dangerous levels. Something's happening on Earth, said Malik, pointing at the glowing sequences. The oceans, rivers, cities. It's like the planet is reorganizing itself. This isn't just a test anymore. It's a demonstration of power. Suddenly, the station was engulfed in light. Pulses of energy shot through the hull, vibrating in sync with the planet below. The crew stumbled, bracing themselves. The floor shook, walls vibrated, and the hum in the station rose to a deafening level. Elena gritted her teeth. Hold it together. Focus on the sequences. We survive by understanding, not by panicking. The sequences had changed again. No longer just patterns of light, they now included movement, force, and timing. Entire regions of Earth were involved, storms, tides, earthquakes, even the rotation of rivers, all appearing as part of a vast, living challenge. Malik's voice was tense. It's using the planet itself as a puzzle. We're not just responding to signals anymore. We have to anticipate, adjust, and align with the planet's forces in real time. Elena's mind raced. Every system on the station was pushed to its limit. Every pulse had to be perfect. A single misalignment could cause a feedback surge, potentially destroying the station. Yet, despite the danger, there was no time to hesitate. Humanity had to prove it could rise to the challenge. Outside, the shadow pulsed violently, sending waves of energy that interacted with the sequences below. The oceans roared with glowing patterns. Cities flickered with energy, buildings vibrating in rhythm with the pulses. Even forests seemed to sway with a subtle intelligence, responding to the planet's rhythm. Elena realized the terrifying truth. This was no longer a simple test. The planet was forcing humanity to synchronize with the living Earth itself. To survive, they had to understand the world as one entity, its energy, its life, its consciousness. Hours passed in tense coordination. Each crew member worked tirelessly, their minds and hands moving in perfect unison with the sequences. Mistakes were punished instantly. Surges of energy shook the station, warning pulses radiated through their minds, testing their resilience and focus. Suddenly, a new pattern appeared, one unlike anything before. A massive wave of energy moved across the globe, targeting major population centers. The sequence demanded rapid alignment or catastrophe. Malik's voice cracked. "Elena, this is it. If we fail, cities will be destroyed. Millions of lives, everything, depends on our response." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Then we do not fail. We survive. We adapt. We prove that humanity is worthy." They worked as one. Every pulse, every alignment, every mirror of the planet's signal was precise. The station vibrated violently, but slowly, the wave of energy dissipated. The glowing cities below returned to normal. Rivers pulsed safely. Forests shimmered peacefully. The shadow hovered silently, its massive form calm again. The planet's glow softened, and for the first time, the crew felt a strange warmth. On the main console, one word appeared: worthy. Elena exhaled, her body trembling from exhaustion and relief. "We did it. We proved ourselves. For now." Malik slumped into his chair, pale but smiling faintly. "The planet, it's acknowledging our intelligence. Our ability to respond, to adapt, to survive under pressure. That's what it was testing." Elena looked down at Earth, her heart pounding. "This is far from over. That wave, that challenge, it was only the beginning. The planet is patient, but it will push us further. Harder. And soon, it will demand more than just intelligence, it will demand humanity itself." Outside, the shadow pulsed gently, a silent guardian and judge. The planet beneath was alive, aware, and watching. Humanity had survived the first extreme challenge, but the path ahead promised far greater trials. Elena straightened, determination blazing in her eyes. "We're awake. We've proven resilience, intelligence, and courage. But the real test is coming. And we have to be ready, no matter what it throws at us." Malik nodded, his hands trembling as he watched the living planet. "It's waiting. And we must rise to meet it. Or we fail." The station floated above a calm Earth, but calm was only an illusion. Deep within the glowing patterns, deep within the shadow's pulse, the planet was preparing its next test. And humanity had only just begun to awaken. The station floated above Earth, calm but tense. The shadows in orbit were still, almost expectant. Elena stared at the glowing planet below, feeling the weight of what humanity had endured. They had passed the first challenges, survived the waves of energy, and learned the rhythms of a world alive, but the planet's ultimate test had not yet come. Dr. Malik leaned over the console, exhausted. "It's quiet now. Too quiet. I don't think it's finished with us." Elena nodded. "It's waiting, judging, preparing to see what we're truly capable of." The shadows shifted, forming intricate shapes in orbit. The glowing patterns on Earth pulsed softly, as if breathing. Then, a beam of light shot from the planet, surrounding the station with a warm glow. For the first time, the crew felt more than awe, they felt understanding, a strange connection. A message formed in their minds, clear and unshakable. "You have shown intelligence, resilience, adaptation. But have you shown heart?" Elena's stomach tightened. "Heart," she whispered. Malik's eyes widened. "It's asking if we can care, if we can protect more than ourselves, if we can act for the greater good." Suddenly, the shadow in orbit expanded, massive wings of light stretching across the horizon. Its pulses synchronized with Earth, forming a single rhythm. The planet wasn't just testing knowledge or skill anymore, it was testing character. Humanity had to prove it could act with compassion, with wisdom, and with courage that extended beyond survival. Below, cities flickered as humans went about their lives, unaware of the trial above. Earth pulsed again, and the station's consoles displayed scenarios, disasters, conflicts, emergencies, all simulated, yet realistic. The crew realized the planet was asking them to respond, to make choices that could protect life, balance, and the fragile harmony of their world. Elena's hands flew over the controls, directing pulses to stabilize storms, to guide patterns of energy, to align sequences that minimized harm. Malik coordinated responses to earthquakes and tidal surges, each decision precise, deliberate, and compassionate. Every choice mattered, not just for themselves, but for humanity and the planet itself. Hours passed. Each success brought relief, each mistake brought tension. The station vibrated with energy, yet the crew persevered. The shadow hovered patiently, guiding and observing. Earth pulsed brighter with every correct decision. Then came the final challenge. A massive simulation appeared, a cascading chain of disasters spanning continents. Cities were under threat, oceans surged, forests burned in pulses of energy. The planet tested their ability to respond simultaneously, to prioritize, to save lives without panic, without selfishness. Malik's voice was tight. Elena, this is it. We either prove ourselves now, or fail everything we've worked for. Elena's eyes narrowed. We do this. For humanity. For Earth. For everyone. They moved as one. Every pulse was calculated, every alignment precise. Storms calmed. Cities stabilized. Forests shimmered safely. Energy flows balanced. The planet's pulse, once chaotic and threatening, became steady, harmonious. A deep silence fell over the station. The shadows in orbit receded, folding into light, almost like a bow. The planet's glow softened, warm and steady, almost comforting. On the main console, one word appeared, glowing stronger than ever. Worthy. Elena exhaled, relief flooding through her. We did it. We've proven ourselves. Malik slumped back, smiling faintly. Not just intelligence, not just resilience, we've shown heart, compassion, courage, humanity. Outside, Earth pulsed gently, alive, aware, and harmonious. The shadows in orbit disappeared, leaving the station bathed in a calm, steady light. Elena realized the truth. The planet had always been alive, always aware, and it had chosen to test humanity not just for survival, but for recognition, an invitation to rise, to grow, and to be worthy of the universe itself. Elena looked down at the blue and green planet. It's awake, and now so are we. Humanity isn't just surviving. We're learning. We're growing. And maybe, we can be guardians, not destroyers, of this world. Malik nodded, voice quiet but firm. It's the greatest test anyone could face. And we passed. Together. The crew watched in silence as Earth's glow stabilized, spreading across the continents, oceans, and forests. The planet was alive, intelligent, and patient. Humanity had faced its judgment, and earned the right to continue. Elena felt a deep sense of awe. We are not alone. Not in this world. Not in the universe. And for the first time, I think we truly understand what it means to be part of something bigger than ourselves. The station floated above the living Earth, bathed in the soft glow of a world awake and aware. The shadows were gone, the pulses gentle, and the planet's heartbeat steady. Humanity had proven itself, not by conquering, not by fighting, but by thinking, adapting, and showing heart. And for the first time in history, humans felt the full weight and beauty of a planet alive. A planet that watched, judged, and waited, but also one that offered guidance, hope, and the chance to rise. Elena looked out at Earth, eyes shining. We thought it would stay silent, but we were wrong. And now, we have a choice. To be worthy of what comes next. The planet pulsed softly, almost like a sigh of approval, as the station drifted above it. Humanity had awakened. And for the first time, it was ready.